Hello everyone, this is G and I'm back with another video. So I'm going to make this quick, actually really quick, because I've got a meeting in about a half hour or so. So I just wanted to give my very brief thoughts on these two articles that are related to the Mortal Kombat film, and in particular the women in the Mortal Kombat film. One of them is this one right here, which is about Sissy Stranger, who plays Mileena in the Mortal Kombat movie. And then the next one, which you see in the, next to it, is Mortal Kombat 2021 is talking about Sonya's fatalities, in particular her long-standing kiss of death fatality. Now I've read both articles, and I've just tried to give a brief summary of them and sort of my opinion on it. And if you guys want, since I can't do a read-through here, you guys can check the descriptions and come to a conclusion on your own. But let me just give my opinion on this one, since this is the one I literally just read. I almost wish I had the camera on while I was reading it, because I think it would have been quite entertaining for you all to see my initial, reaction, which was, is basically what it was. Because there is so much, and I've covered this in other videos, that is not being said here. Take a look at how this starts out, right? It's not often that we get to see a black woman play a fictional badass warrior princess who teleports. What they don't tell you is that Mileena, while yes, is a fictional badass warrior princess, she's a literal clone of a badass warrior princess, and she's the violent savage, right? I've said it in many videos. I've covered Mortal Kombat ad nauseum on this channel, right? So, and even if you haven't seen my work, if you're familiar with Fourth Snake or other people who were really deep into this type of stuff, deep into the lore, you know that Mileena, right, is the bad girl version of Kitana, right? That's why she's a savage. That's why she's a man-eater. That's why, especially as the games went on and their costumes and their designs got more and more separate, right? That her look, although both of them were very sexy and skimpy outfits for most of the games up until about, what, Mortal Kombat 10? And then they totally flipped everything for 11, right? Their costumes, right? Mileena's costumes got sexier and sexier and raunchier because she's the bad girl, right? She's everything that Kitana's not, right? But anyway, she talks about how she wants black girls to feel represented by the violent savage character of the games, right? Not by, say, Jade. I'm not even sure she's familiar with the character of Jade. She says in the article that she's played Mortal Kombat 9, at the very least, and I know Jade was in that game. But then she also talks about how, the costumes were so skimpy in those games, so impractical. Yes, because it's a fighting game. It's a fighting game, and it's based in fantasy, right? Same way you can't come back from being stabbed in the eye with a sai, right? It's all fantasy. It's all made up and over the top. That's another thing that she brings up, how there's a part at the bottom, let's scroll to it briefly, right? Let me see here. Here we go. Where she says that it's good for young black girls to see, you're talking about body image here, right? How do you believe young black girls will feel when they see you in Mortal Kombat? They will feel represented. Now, I cannot speak for any individuals, and I'm certainly not going to try to speak to a group that I'm no longer part of, because I'm not young anymore. But as somebody who was young, you want black girls to feel represented by the violent savage. If they needed another African American person in the film, another black character, I will never understand why they didn't just cast her as Jade. Jade would be positive representation. She's the literal embodiment of loyalty. Or they could have had Sissy play Mileena and Kitana, which is what I think they should have done. I don't agree with the race lift because of the bad optics of having a black woman play a savage. But if they were going to do that, they should have at least had her play Kitana and Mileena, so she could play both the good girl and the bad girl, right? In the very least, she wouldn't only be stuck playing the bad girl. But no, no, they don't do that. They only have her play the savage, flesh-eating villainess, right? And she says that she wants young black girls to feel represented by this. These are her own words. I'm not making this up. Take a look, right? By this when they see her in the Mortal Kombat film. Um, I personally don't feel represented by violent savages, real or imagined, right? I might be descendant of savages, being Native American and on my father's side, but no. I am not, I don't feel represented by violent individuals, right? This is one of the reasons why I was so against the race. I did a whole damn breakdown about how many times they have done changed her race over the years. This is one of the reasons why, the bad optics. And you want me to feel represented by that, right? Or rather, she wants young black girls, which would not include me, right? To feel represented by that. And then she talks about body types. It's important to show different body types. Okay, yeah, I agree. Obviously, I'm not a model size 0. Well, here's the thing, honey. You're in an action film where most of the people are going to be martial artists. Martial arts are going to give you a very different body than, say, a modeling gig will. They are not the same. Right? Now, generally speaking, for neither one of them can you be, say, overweight. You certainly can't be my size. Right? But training for a fight and training to take pictures and pose are two very different things. Your body's gonna look entirely different because you have to train differently. You have to diet differently. The way you structure your life is completely different. I'm all for diverse body types, but it's like, why do you even bring up modeling? This is an action movie, right? If you compare people who do action movies for a living, male or female, and you compare them to a magazine model, yes, they're going to look different. It's an entirely different profession they're in, right? And she says that she thinks it's good for black girls to see that she's not a size 0 and they can relate to that. Sometimes I look at the stars and like the Instagram body or the model 00 body. Well, again, an Instagram fitspo person is not the same as a martial artist. If you want to see what a martial artist looks like, watch some UFC. Speaking of which, Thug Rose! But anyway, right? But it says it's just not relatable, right? It's not attainable for me or half the population. It's not meant to be. It's not meant to be attainable. It's high level. It's high level fitness. It's not meant to be attainable. This is like saying, well, I can't be Miss Olympia. Well, of course not. You have to structure your life a very certain way to get to that. Most people cannot and will not make the sacrifices necessary to do that. So yes, it's going to be unrelatable or not attainable because it's not designed for most of the population or even 50% of it. Okay? That it's like complaining about the body of an elite athlete. It's for the elite. It's for those who have the talent, the money, the resources, and the skills to look that way, to train that way. So yeah, same way I'm never gonna look like, say, um, Brittany Griner, right? And in the WNBA, because she's like 6'8", and she's really muscular and really tall. I'm not gonna look like that. That's okay. I just need to do better than I currently am, which is something I'm working on. But this whole thing of body representation, and then you talk about how it's not attainable because it's it's for the elite. It's for the elite. Same way most people cannot play basketball and make millions upon millions of dollars a year. It's not meant for everyone. But can you get healthier? Can you get better? Yes. And that's what you should work toward. But can we stop with this? Well, it's unattainable. Of course it's unattainable. It's not meant to be something done by the majority. It's extreme. That's the whole freaking point. And then it says that seeing more general sort of body types is better rather than seeing extremes. Honey, You're in a movie about a extreme fighting game which features extreme violence, which features everything from US military and special forces to ninjas. It's all about the extremes. You're in film that's all about extremes. If you wanted a normal life or a normal body, you would have chose something different to do with your life. Right? I feel that's another aspect of seeing me as Mileena, the young black girl people to relate to. Mileena's not meant to be relatable. Some might relate to it, but she's not meant to be relatable. You might feel sympathy for her, but you're not meant to relate to her because she's not flipping human. She's not human. And then there are other parts here about objectification and body, the costume. I'm like, look, you can dislike a sexy costume all you want. But the only female character that I can think of who was ever legitimately objectified in Mortal Kombat was Sindel in her original backstory. Because she's literally brainwashed and no decision is her own until well after the events of MK3. There's objectification, and guess what? That objectification actually helped. It worked. It worked because it made her a sympathetic character, knowing that her decisions were not her own. It actually played into her redemption arc. And it's a hell of a lot better than the totally revamped retcon backstory they gave her now of being a generic, lustful, power-hungry villainess. Right? But again, I can't cover this whole thing. I just wanted to give some of my immediate impressions and thoughts. Right? You can check it out in the description and come to your own conclusions about it. Now, we have the next article here, right? This one I read yesterday, and I actually did a video on it, but then the video didn't render properly. And I ended up chucking it. So I'm just trying to give a brief synopsis of what this is about, right? This article written by a man, which is not something I would usually emphasize, but in this case is actually really important, is about how the 2021 film was right to change Sonya's fatality, right? It focuses on the fact that Sonya has had a kiss of death type of fatality for most of the games, which is true. She's had other fatalities, ones involving her, like, doing like a leg vine around a person's waist and slamming them to the ground and all that different type of stuff. Right, but yes, the kiss of death is sort of her signature. Princess Kitana's also had the kiss of death, and also fatalities involving her fans, because that's her gimmick, right? Double-bladed fan user. And Mileena's had fatalities involving literally kissing someone on the cheek and swallowing them whole and spitting them out. But no complaints about that for some reason. But anyway, it says that changing Sonya's fatality from the kiss of death to apparently this scene where she uses acetone, which to my understanding is nail polish remover, and a garden gnome to kill Kano. Here's the thing. Isn't garden gnome just playing it into the stereotype of a woman taking like a frying pan or some other heavy object and whacking a male attacker with it? Aren't you still playing it into what this article argues is sexist stereotypes about women? Because that's what it sounds like to me, right? It complains about how she was a damsel in distress in the earlier games, like the Midway era games, which is what I'm most familiar with. Yet it doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that Sonya and Kano were both damsels in Mortal Kombat 2, literally part of the background in Khan's arena. And that was actually how they kept the characters around, because according to John Tobias, what happened with MK2 was they knew they couldn't bring everybody back. They wanted to use the second game to introduce a lot more new characters, so they did an audit of the arcade machines in Chicago back then. Remember, this is the mid-1990s. And they found that Sonya and Kano were the least played characters, and that's why they ultimately got left out. But they kept them in the background, literally, so that there was a possibility, right, if the fans really liked it, they could come back, which is what happened in Mortal Kombat 3. They both came back to the series. So that was the only time in the games that I can remember where Sonya was damseled. And if you're talking about the film, the only time she's damsel in the 95 film is at the very end when Shang, the bad guy doing bad guy things, invokes his right as champion and chooses his opponent. So he obviously chooses the one person he knows can't beat him no matter what she does. But prior to that, Sonya was always shown to be able to hold her own. In fact, she defeated Kano, killed him with a leg lock, right? And had no help, right? Remember, it was Liu Kang who needed the tip from Kitana, right? Use the element which brings life, right? To defeat Sub-Zero. But Sonya beat Kano on her own. Was shown to be a very strong, assertive character. In fact, that was her character arc in the original film and Annihilation. Her learning to trust and rely on people because she's actually too self-reliant. That's the lesson Raiden was trying to teach her, to rely on her friends. But this article written by a guy is going to argue that because she was damseled once in a film and once in a game, that all of a sudden her previous depictions have been sexist, right? And that it was much more, pro-women to give her a scene where she kills Kano, not by using a signature fatality, but by dousing him in acetone, which is used for nail polish, which is distinctly feminine, and then hitting him upside the head with a heavy object. Again, a typical girl trope. Can someone tell Mr. Morrison what feminism is? Because I'm not quite sure he knows what it means. Right? If you like this film, I'll respect the fact that you like it. So long as you respect the fact that I don't. But articles like this, for me at least, do not help me come around on this film. Right? I've been asked by certain people in the comments to give it a chance, watch it, you'll like it. How? How am I supposed to give it a chance when people keep writing, or rather I should say websites, keep writing articles like this that are supposedly in defense of it? I'm sorry, but if you need to write articles that will not be honest, right? If they're going to write articles that will not be honest about the type of character an actress is playing, which is the case here with the Essence article, or in the case of this article, right? If they're going to not be, or rather, if the writer here, a male writer in this case, which is not something I would usually emphasize, but given that it's talking about a woman and sexism and all that, I will emphasize that this is written by a dude, right? Is going to talk about how previous depictions were sexist and not actually give a strong argument for it. This doesn't exactly make me, as a fan of the classics, want to see the film. And again, if you like it, you like it. I respect the fact that you like it. I get it. It's, from what I've seen, it's been getting a very mixed reaction online. Kind of like MK11 itself, right? Some people like it, some people don't. And that's okay. But I think that when you have to write puff piece articles, and in this the case of this article in particular, tear down what came before to prop up the film, well then, let's just say that that's not going to make me want to watch your movie. Todd Gardner, if you happen to come across this, these articles are not helping your case with me. It's not going to make me want to watch your film. I'm not going to pay money for it, and I'm not going to watch it for free. So I'm just saying, this type of stuff, at least for me, it's turned at the very least one classic fan away, right? These low hanging fruit arguments that are meant to sway the minds of those who are not familiar with the series. Someone like me who knows her stuff, right? I'm just gonna do what I'm doing here, make a video and debunk it. But not every person coming into this has that knowledge. And y'all know that. Y'all know that this is directed toward people who don't have the knowledge that I do, and that you would be intellectually dishonest in these articles. Pisses me off. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day or night wherever you are. Bye.